So now we jump to the future with Jurassic World, which is separated from Jurassic Park 3 by 14 years, coming out in 2015. It's the first one that I originally watched in the movie theater, and is the beginning of a trilogy that really tested my sanity this week. Rewatching this 10 years later since I originally watched it, I only watched it once, which was strange because as a kid I watched those other films so many times, even though they were not as good as the first. But this one, I saw it once and I was done. And some of you will say,
that's because you were a kid back then.
But I was still a kid in 2015. I was only 16 years old. I still had plenty of time. But this movie just brought no interest to me. And as an adult, I can see why I didn't enjoy it. The premise of this movie is, what if Jurassic Park was actually financially successful? What if it actually could make money? Which is ironic because just like in the movie, the characters take something that's awe-inspiring and old and make a corporate park without really caring about how the dinosaurs are affected, nor their consumers. Just like how the people in real life are taking an old, awe-inspiring film and do not really care about the dinosaurs or their consumers. Let's say some things I do enjoy about Jurassic World, which I do like a lot more than its sequels. I really like Zach and Gray, the two teenager and child characters in this film. They have a great relationship. If I was a kid, maybe a little bit younger than I was when I first watched this, maybe if I was 12, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. And if a kid watches this and says that they like it, I would totally get it. Their relationship and interactions with the parks and other dinosaurs is really great, and they are the emotional crutch of this entire film, even though their mom is literally called Karen.
Hey, Karen.
The special effects are also really amazing. That is something you have to admit. These dinosaurs look real as they possibly can. I mean, as technology gets better and better, that will only improve. But even in 2015, the special effects here are really great. And they did use some practical effects. One of my favorites is this one with, I think it's called an Allosaurus. I think it looks fantastic. And no matter what I say about the rest of this film, the fight at the end of the movie with the T-Rex and the Velociraptor and the Mosasaur against the Indominus Rex is always going to be epic. It's always going to be amazing, and there's nothing I can change about that. But that's where my praises for this movie end. Something that these movies made me realize that I didn't know this week, but I really don't like Chris Pratt as an actor. The more and more I think about him, the more I see him in these films and other films, I realize just how one note he is. In this movie, he's reciting his lines as if he's still on Parks and Rec, or he's not sure which parts are going to go inside the trailer. And this is not helped by the rest of the cast. Blue, I know we're supposed to like her. She's like a fan favorite because she's like a lizard dog, but I don't like her. I don't think she's interesting. They keep talking about how smart she is, but every time Chris Pratt says to go die, to go fight some dinosaurs, she does obediently. And so she's also a very one-note character, not interesting, and she deserves much better than Chris Pratt as a alpha dad. I don't even know what their relationship ultimately is at the end. This also goes with the Indominus Rex. I don't like when these movies make up new dinosaurs to have a big action sequence at the end. I like seeing the dinosaurs that are real and have real names and real findings in the world. I think that's way more interesting than anything that I can think of, and I think it ruins their premise a little bit because now we're not talking about dinosaurs, we're just talking about made-up monsters. If you're going to be making up monsters, I think you have to be a lot more creative than just an extra spiky T-Rex. Bryce Dallas Howard's character is also a terrible person. Her acting is perfectly fine. I would say it's better than Chris Pratt. She at least delivers a little bit of more emotion in her performance, but her character is a terrible human being. She leads dozens, if not hundreds of people to their deaths just so her company can lose a little bit less money.
That paddock is 4 miles from the closest attraction. They say you can handle this. No one else is gonna get eaten.
A few moments later.
But it's okay because she learned to be less serious and become quirky. Like, whoops, sorry, I led dozens of people to die for my own personal gain. Oops, I'm just a girl. That's the energy that they give to this character, which I find just morally just really reprehensible. And a villain from the second movie, Fallen Kingdom, literally brings this up. They just brush it off as if him being like mean or rude, but it's a completely valid point. They also set up a relationship with her nephews, Zach and Gray. That's who they are. That's how they're connected to the park. They never learn to like love each other or whatever. Their relationship is exactly the same, but they spend time developing it and it never goes anywhere.
I am never leaving you as long as you live.
No, him.
Also, many of the villains in this movie are just dumb. The guy from Daredevil who plays Wilson Fisk, he does a really bad job here, but I think I blame the script because everything that's coming out of his mouth sounds really stupid. The idea on paper doesn't seem that bad, but everything he's saying just makes me feel like you're dealing with a moron. And the same goes for all the other characters. The park owner, I don't care to remember these people's name, the doctor guy, the gene splitting dude, they have some of the worst dialogue, some of the worst interactions. At one point, the park owner and the doctor are having a conversation about words in an email. And I'm supposed to take this seriously, this conversation about
cooler, I believe is the word that you used in your memo.
Email texts, and it's just like you guys made a super murder machine and it's running around your park and you're discussing an email. I just don't care for you guys. It's very much written from like a millennial's perspective of dialogue and interaction. Millennial humor is almost as bad as boomer memes. I think they're up there together, and this movie just has so much of that humor in there.
Someone has to stay behind.
Oh, no, I have a boyfriend.
Overall, Jurassic World was made for the most amount of people to go, that was okay. And that's exactly what it is. It is just okay. Where there are problems with Lost World and Park 3 are attempting to say something, where I feel like this movie is just an extremely soft reboot. This one is going to be put at number 4, and I think that's where it's going to stay. 2018 was 7 years ago, and that's when this movie came out. And it shows very much that this is a 2018 movie. Now, any criticism I had with any of the previous films, they might have sounded harsh, but this is the first movie that I think out of this franchise that I genuinely despise with all my heart. And believe me when I say I wish I had never seen this movie, that I feel that it's an insult to storytelling. In the first 10 minutes of this film, they rewrite every single thing that they wrote in the first one. Owen is somehow now a recluse that doesn't care about anything, which is not true in the first one. He was very active in other people's lives and had a great sense of purpose. Deering goes from a corporate person to someone who loves dinosaurs. She's a huge environmentalist now, which doesn't make any sense because they tried to kill her and she caused the deaths of hundreds of other people, which for her, I guess you could see where she could flip, she could change. But apparently even the general public likes dinosaurs. 2 failed parks, an attack on San Diego, and probably dozens and hundreds of dead people. How would the public be like, yeah,
we need more of this?
But worst of all, apparently the island that it was built on is an active volcano. Apparently John Hammond had a friend that also helped him discover the DNA and how to make clones and stuff. And apparently Owen and Deering also broke up. Again, in this movie, they're gonna try to get him to come together and be in a relationship. Again, just like the last movie. Same characters, same character arc. And just when I thought they couldn't make more annoying characters, the lady from Jurassic Park 3 loses her title as the most annoying because they made these 2 characters. This guy is a nerd that just walks around screaming, and this girl has the most annoying I told you so vibe in the world. She's just arrogant and full of herself. Like I said before, millennial writing is terrible, but millennials writing Gen Z characters are somehow the worst people you've ever seen. I would not want to spend 10 minutes with either one of these people. But what did I enjoy about this movie? There must have been something. Well, I liked the sequence with the T-Rex in the truck. I thought it was very cool. Chris Pratt jumps through a T-Rex's mouth. Lots of spectacle. Really enjoyed it. And I like this frame with the Indoraptor. I thought it was very creepy. The only part of this movie that has any kind of tension or fear. And that's about it. The rest of this movie is just characters saying things and going places, and then going to another place and saying things. There's no tension, there's no motivation behind any of this, there's no unraveling of events. It doesn't feel like we're going somewhere. It's just set piece after set piece where people say things that have absolutely no emotional reaction from me, nor are they piled in a way that explain something interesting or make me feel scared or have any sense of awe. There's no awe, there's no terror, there's no nothing in this movie. This is just a product. And just like with the Indominus Rex, they think of another dinosaur, the Indoraptor, that apparently they need to think of because lizards, giant lizards from 65 million years ago are not interesting enough for them. They have to invent a whole new one for whatever reason. Clearly, this movie was supposed to be an inspiration by Frankenstein. There was supposed to be some kind of tie to it. They got a painting of Mary Shelley, the OG, the goat, on the wall here. But everything that the book Frankenstein does as a piece of literature that is still very thematically, personally relatable to today, they don't do it. The whole point of Frankenstein is not that Frankenstein's monster is some evil creature that we need to kill, like the Indoraptor. The whole point is that when man plays God, he is not able to take on the responsibility. Frankenstein's creature that never gets a name is a sympathetic character because all he wants is love and meaning, and it's never given to him. He is denied a purpose in this life, so he causes terror for his own creator. How does this relate to the Indoraptor? Well, the Indoraptor is scary. And that's it. And the worst part is this movie is trying to convince me that the dinosaurs deserve to live as an inherent right, that the dinosaurs have something called rights. And this movie also at the same time is trying to convince me that the Indoraptor is inherently evil, even though it's also a genetic freak created by human beings. It wants to have its cake and eat it too. They introduce this little girl who is a human clone, which completely destroys your entire universe, because once people are able to clone people, who cares about dinosaurs? We don't need weapons that are indispensable. We have people that are indispensable now. Also, the villain, I thought this was super funny. I didn't pick this up the first time I watched it, but he sells every living dinosaur for like $150 million. That would make Twitter like 350 times more valuable when Elon Musk bought it than every single living dinosaur in the world. I don't know why they didn't just make it billions. Did people think that wasn't believable? I don't know, but I thought that was such a funny detail. Really, the major problem I have with this movie and the next one, the way that you can compare and contrast it is with Roland from Lost World. This movie also has an evil military guy, but unlike Roland, who has some kind of intellect, he's knowledgeable about his field and has an interesting motivation that you can agree or disagree with, the military guy in this movie is just bad. He's just evil. He only cares about money. That's his only lines of dialogue are about money. And he also loves pulling teeth from living dinosaurs to make a necklace. And so he's just purely supposed to be an antagonist and not thought about any further. And he's also Donald Trump.
What a nasty woman.
Such a nasty woman.
Nothing about this character is changed when he sees dinosaurs in real life. He has no change of heart. He has no change of perspective. He doesn't become more evil. They could have done that if they wanted to keep him a villain. Overall, while I think that Jurassic World was a corporate product, it was at least a product. Fallen Kingdom is a failure. It becomes corporate slop almost immediately and has pretty much no value for me as entertainment or as an intellectual piece of art. And so it goes to the bottom. And you would think it would stay there, but we still have one more movie in this trilogy. Coming out in 2022, this is the first Jurassic Park / World film I did not watch when it came out. Everything that I love about filmmaking, storytelling, dinosaurs, this franchise is completely butchered in this film. I'm gonna keep this one short just because I don't want to talk about how bad this movie is, but much of what I don't like about Fallen Kingdom applies to this film as well. So we'll only talk about new complaints. Owen and Deering make the worst parents in the world. They don't know how to communicate with each other, so I'm not surprised they can't communicate with their teenage daughter that's not their teenage daughter. Marcy, the little girl from the last movie who is very emotionally intelligent, becomes incredibly stupid and falls into the teenager I hate my parents trope that is just so played out and is so dead. I don't believe that this trope can even be applied in this situation. If my parents at 14 told me I would die if I left the house or I would get kidnapped and be experimented on, it would not be hard to keep me inside the house, especially if I had internet access. Sure, I might feel a sense of like loneliness, but why would I risk my life dying just to go see like a whaling town? The laser raptor control is the most pathetic and useless thing from multiple perspectives. It's meaningless because no one ever actually gets killed. No, it never affects the plot in any way. It's just a gimmick so that people can run around. And the Raptors have really fallen to their lowest low here. They're supposed to be this super awesome killing machines, super hyper intelligent creatures that have been turned into essentially extremely clumsy robots. They invent a new terrible character. This lady is by far the worst. I can't stand anything she says. She has the worst dialogue. Also extremely arrogant and annoying and just completely full of herself. We never see her struggle with it. They give no sympathy for this character. She is completely annoying.
Claire,
I know this must feel exotic, but if you mess with the wrong person down here, you disappear.
And speaking of annoying characters, they bring back Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, and Laura Dern, and they give the worst performances of their careers. Honestly, just a complete waste of talent and character. That's probably the worst part about this film, is to see these older people that you loved watching them act as a kid. You watched so many of their other amazing performances, other careers, and just see the complete potential wasted. Them coming back really irritated me. To be fair, the script doesn't give them much to do. They just walk around and people go, "Are you that person from the first movie?" "Yeah, that's me." And then they also say internet slang.
Slid into my DMs.
You know what?
And they just become complete stereotypes of their former characters. It strips away any value they had. And I just hope it doesn't affect my experience of watching the other films in the future. This film also sits at 2.5 hours, a little bit more than that actually, and you feel it. It feels like 4 hours. And you know why? Because a movie that's supposed to be about dinosaurs is actually about bugs. Yes. Big bugs. At the end of Fallen Kingdom, they suggested that dinosaurs are going to be everywhere and that they're going to be interacting with humans in their daily life. So they decided to make a sequel about giant grasshoppers. Whoever thought of this as an idea should get fired and never work on writing stories ever again. The villain of this story, super pathetic. Don't care about him at all. He apparently is able to control dinosaurs by electrical signals in their brain, and he decides he's gonna make giant bugs. He just talks and then dies. That's what he does. That's the whole villain of this story. Honestly, I have other things written, but I just do not care to talk about this film anymore. And putting it on a list with these other movies on there kind of feels illegal. I wish there was another level I could put it on, like in hell. That would be a better spot to put this movie. Which now brings us to the present, 2025, with Rebirth. 32 years in the making. This is now the 7th film in this franchise. What do I think about this one? To be fair, there is a little bit of recency bias, not just with watching the movie, but also watching Dominion so close to this. I saw Rebirth about 2 hours after finishing that film, and pretty much anything in comparison to that movie would look like an Oscar-worthy film. So coming into this with the worst expectations, I was at least semi-pleasantly surprised. It's definitely not Shakespeare. It's definitely not the first Jurassic Park. It is okay, and it is entertaining. And honestly, after watching so many of these movies, that is enough for me. It has a plot that you can follow, a motivation from our main characters, and some great moments with dinosaurs. I don't know how much more I can ask for that. Of course, it has its dumb moments, like the opening scene. A gigantic lab facility gets completely shut down and destroyed because a Snickers bar ends up going to a ventilation system, which is just so stupid. Why couldn't they just make it that the dinosaur was so big that it broke out? Like, that would have been just as fine, but they made it a Snickers bar, and there is some cringy dialogue. The millennial humor has not escaped us just yet, especially if you've seen the trailer, which is partly why I was hesitant to even go watch this.
Doc Hunt.
None of what you just said is good.
Scarlett Johansson does a good job, better than I was expecting. I thought she was gonna marvel it up really hard here. Ali is underutilized in this movie, and the family aspect with the people that get stuck in the middle of the ocean on their boat, I thought that was actually pretty good. I liked the interaction with the father and his daughter's boyfriend. It was at least new. I don't think I've ever seen a movie like this that actually makes the annoying boyfriend slightly redeemed in any way, so there was props there. There is a scene with a raft that I thought was a little bit unrealistic because the T-Rex tries to bite the raft and it just doesn't happen. I'm pretty sure the T-Rex has the strongest bite force of any creature in the world. But I did like that its behavior in this scene was very unique. Like, it took a sip of water in the morning, like it just woke up from a nap. So while this movie does have a lot of problems with it, there are also little details that I really enjoy, like the scene with the Titanosauruses. The really big dinosaurs. I thought that moment was really amazing. It did capture a little bit of that awe. And I don't know, maybe it's just the John Williams score that they keep reusing, but I did enjoy that moment. And some of the moments with the other dinosaurs, like the flying one and the Spinosaurus and the Mesosaurus, they were good. I can't say that I hated them. Even the use of the gigantic evil monster dinosaur was kind of okay because they made him really ugly. He kind of looks like a bald guy. They also used them very sparingly. So I thought that was completely fine. But ultimately, I think if I ever watch this movie in like a year or two, it will probably teeter out to something very average. So I guess my recommendation is if you like dinosaurs, you can go watch this movie. And I think I'm going to put this one at number 4. Maybe Jurassic World is better in some aspects, but I think this one actually at least has some decent moments with these dinosaurs. It has a completely different direction than the other world movies. It's by no means amazing, but I feel like it's definitely a better step in the right direction than the last 3 abominations I just watched. So those are my thoughts on Rebirth. And that's my ranking of all the Jurassic Park / world films. Let me know which one is your favorite. How would you rank them? Let me know your favorite dinosaur in the comments down below as well. Mine is the Spinosaurus. As always, thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Godspeed.